Everyone, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome once again to the Silverstone circuit here in the sunshine. And we're about to get race 2 underway of our third round of the Ferrari Challenge UK here this afternoon. Those Trofeo Pirelli drivers and Copa Shell drivers champing at the bit to be #1 this afternoon. Qualifying was really very interesting indeed, and particularly with regards to Copa Shell, where the order has been mixed up just a little bit. So what can we look forward to? 30 minutes plus 1 lap of hot rock race action to come. And to bring us all that action as it unfolds will be Jack Werrell, because we're going to head to the grid right now to bring you the warm-up before the race starts. But Jack, it looks like being something of a humdinger today.
For round 3 of the Ferrari Challenge UK 2026 season, we've seen 2 brilliant qualifying sessions already this weekend. Race 1 yesterday brought us all of the action we expected. Race 2 will do much of the same. The championship fight in Trofeo Pirelli and Copa Shell getting closer than ever, and we'll get to see exactly how that formulates into a brilliant, brilliant race this afternoon. As we say, we're here at Silverstone on the Grand Prix circuit, 5.891 kilometres, or 3.66 miles to be completed. Where have we already been this season? We've been to Paul Ricard Le Castellet for round #1 on the 13th to the 15th of March. We then went to Snetterton earlier on this month for round #2. We're here at Silverstone for round 3 before we round out our Ferrari Challenge UK season between Alton Park in June, Brands Hatch in July, and aptly round 6 at Donington Park on the 19th and 20th of September. So an action-packed calendar on the way. Plenty more racing still to be completed by our brilliant Ferrari Challenge UK drivers. Championships to be decided, race wins to be had, points to be scored, and hopefully this weather sticks around. You can see it's been getting hotter and hotter throughout the weekend. Almost up to 50 degrees centigrade track temperature, 27-degree air temp. The humidity has started to fall away, which is nice for some. The wind has picked up very slightly from this morning, but shouldn't be anything to worry about for the likes of our fabulous drivers that we've got out there. As we say, we're here at Silverstone. We mentioned the track length, 5.891 kilometres or 3.66 miles. 18 corners lie in wait for the drivers to attack, 9 to the right and 9 to the left. Drivers will be aiming for somewhere in the 2-minute 2s, maybe even the 2-minute 1s. We saw Gilbert Yates into the 2-minute flat this morning. But of course, that was qualifying, where there's a little bit less Shell V power put into the cars. And this morning they were on a fresh set of Pirelli P0 tyres. Drivers currently out there and circulating. They are doing either 1 or 2 warm-up laps. That gives them as much time as possible to get the required temperature into their Pirelli slick tyres, and also monitor all the systems that power their Ferrari 296 Challenge cars, including that of the twin turbocharged V6 engine, which lies in the back of these, or lies effectively in the middle of the 296 Challenge cars. More and more cars are working their way towards the grid now. Drivers to keep an eye out. Naturally, both the Yates, Gilbert Yates and Bradley Yates, starting on the front row of the grid. Let's see what they can do. Dave, down on the grid.
Jack, thank you so much. Once again, you join us ahead of the cars, all the cars being down here on the grid, which is why I treat my production team with care, consideration, and we're at the side of the circuit so that Piero, my fine cameraman, and Raul, my producer, make sure we keep out of danger until all the cars are actually out there on the track. Literally having just pulled up is John Turner here in the number 88 car. He had a good qualifying session, and you can just see through how John Turner has progressed during the course of the start of the season, just getting better and better and better, and really finding his feet with this wonderful 296 Challenge car, and of course the Ferrari Challenge UK. So once most of the cars are out there on the grid, we will dive to the inside of it and to the middle and make our way down the pack of cars. So we know that, where are we? Maybe 3 or 4 cars missing so far. But at the moment, this side we're okay. There is John Turner. Big waves from John Turner. Piero, come in here. And let's grab a word with John, which is the last thing he needs, really, is some oaf coming and sticking a microphone into him. But I was just saying, John, to our audience here that since making your debut in the Ferrari Challenge, we've just seen you getting better and better. Tell me, are you enjoying it more and more?
Absolutely loving it. It's such a professional series, and the team and the guys, everybody's involved in it, are just fantastic.
Really glad. I wish you well. I hope you go well in the race today. Well done to you, John Turner. Rob is John's driver coach here, and I'm sure Rob won't mind me having a quick word here. It must be really, really refreshing and pleasing for you to see how well John is coming on.
Yeah, definitely, Dave. I think, you know, John's really progressing. He's really getting to know the 296 Challenge car. And the more you get to know it, you know, the more he becomes one with the car, and the more he understands it, and the quicker he's going. And you can see that from Friday testing here all the way through to race 2 on Sunday.
Every racing driver tells me that the 296 Challenge is a hugely, hugely exciting car to drive. And once you've got it, once you've absolutely nailed it, it really does thank you. But it takes a bit of time to get it absolutely right.
Yeah, definitely. It really does. But once you get your head in the game, once you really get to know the car, Dave, it's one of the most rewarding cars that you can drive. And around a circuit like this, it's such a rewarding car, such a pleasing car to be sat in and driving.
Absolutely iconic. Rob, thanks as always for talking to us. John, thank you for talking to us as well. Alongside John is another member of the Dean family who's made his debut this weekend, and that is Tony Dean, who has really, really impressed, in my opinion, done a very good job driving the number 27 car. Tony Dean, watch out for him during the course of the race as everyone makes their way out onto the grid now, and it forms such a carnival atmosphere here at Silverstone as we make our way through the pack right now. And Drivers choosing to probably stay out of the car for as long as they can because the temperature here at the moment is it's really warm. It's beautiful here at Silverstone. And look at this. One driver talking to another driver. You can see all yellow here is Darren Howell. Alongside him, showing legs that really are not fit for television, is Stephen Dobson, who of course is also a driver as well. What's going on here? You passing advice to him, or is he passing advice to you?
The other way around.
Oh, is it?
Absolutely right. I can't teach him anything. He knows everything.
Stephen and Darren, one of the great things about the Ferrari Challenge UK is this camaraderie, because of course you two, when you're racing together, and I know you're not racing today, Stephen, more's the pity, but when you're racing together, of course you want to beat each other, but actually when you're not, you're great friends, and that's part of the appeal of the Challenge UK.
Definitely, definitely. I miss Steve being here. It's not the same without him.
Oh, what about that? What about that? Stephen Dobson and Darren Howell then, as we continue taking a look at everyone down here on the grid of this fantastic Ferrari Challenge UK. I remind you that we have a mix of Trofeo Pirelli and Cope Shell drivers. The Cope Shell drivers have the yellow strip across the top of the windscreen. Our Trofeo Pirelli drivers have the red strip across the top of the windscreen. We'll see some of those in just a moment here as we continue making our way down the pack. So, Stephen Dobson, of course, was racing at Snetterton. Sadly, due to other commitments yesterday, not racing here at Silverstone this weekend. The man with the menacing eyes, in my opinion, Will Bolster. It's best be no, best be nice. But they are, this is Mrs. Bolster, may I say.
Yes.
They do look menacing, you know, he looks like an individual not to be messed with. Deep,
yes.
deep.
Eyes, you know, he's got his racing eyes on, he's got his racing face on.
Can I just say, I know when I've made a mistake and I've dug a big hole here, haven't I?
You've dug a hole, but it's only you could dig it.
This is what we love about this wonderful, wonderful atmosphere down here. You can see the Charles Hurst dealership laughing from ear to ear, thinking, Dave, you've bitten off more than you can chew here, friend. And I think I did. I think I did. Come on. We're loving this. It's what the atmosphere is all about here with the Ferrari Challenge. Why on earth did I do that, Franco? What a fool am I? Listen, get back on the script, Dave. Brilliant qualifying from Ian Morris. He is going to be a driver to watch today. Driver of the number 22 car. What are you telling him? What are you telling him to do?
Be confident on the start, stay as close as you can to Andrea, and then, yeah, confidence through turn one, and then try settle in.
It was really nip and tuck in qualifying, very nearly P1.
Yeah, super tight. Like, I think the whole grid, especially in Shell's really, really tight, so Ian's theoreticals would have put him right there, so it's just piecing that one lap together. Let's
piece that one lap together. Let's see if Ian can do that in the race. I'm sure he can. I have confidence in him. Missing from the car is Chris Baton at the moment, probably taking a comfort break. Just ahead of the start of the 30-minute plus one-lap race to come, of course. I don't think I've ever seen Silverstone look so good with so many people down here on the grid for the start of a Ferrari Challenge race. It is absolutely awesome. Full of colour, full of spectacle, and full of race fans as well. Absolutely enjoying every single aspect of what we can offer with the Ferrari Challenge UK. And as always, there are celebrities down here. Miles is here.
Celebrity is a loose term.
Okay. Expired Film Club is an extraordinary phenomenon. Please tell me, what is the Expired Film Club? Welcome to Silverstone. Welcome to the Ferrari Challenge.
Thank you. Delighted to be here. So yeah, Expired Film Club is, I guess it's a project I came up with where I use old film cameras like this one. This is like a 1980 Canon. And I go around and I basically capture some of the world's best sporting events on old film cameras. So I've got some that like from like 20 years old all the way up to about, I've got some with me today that are like 130 years old. And yeah, capturing these amazing modern Ferraris at Silverstone on film is the best day ever.
That's just like a real juxtaposition, isn't it? With this vintage equipment and the most modern and fantastic of racing cars and racing drivers. You're very welcome. I've got to ask you this. Surely, after today's experience, you are a Ferrari fan now.
Of course. I think I always have been. You know, I've always loved watching the Ferrari drivers in the Formula One as well. But like, how can you not be a fan of a Ferrari? I mean, you just look at them.
The Expired Film Club, where can people find out more, Miles?
Yeah, so it's just at Expired Film Club on socials. I'm across all social media, expiredfilmclub.com. The photos from this weekend will be going live over the next few days, so check it out. It'll be on Ferrari UK too.
Really nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for talking to us. Absolutely fantastic. So take a look at that. Of course, the Ferrari Challenge extends its reach around the world because we race not only here in the UK, but also in North America, also in Australasia, also in the Middle East, and also in Europe, and this weekend also in Japan as well. We've been racing in Japan this weekend, but the Ferrari Challenge UK is the focus of our attention, of course, here at Silverstone. We've got Manu Gosner to our left-hand side, and we've got Joseph Dean just about, he's late on parade here, just about to jump into the car before we go racing with Ferrari Challenge UK. Second race of the weekend. Best of luck to you, Joe. I'm not going to disturb you. I can see that you're jumping into the car. Everyone is now making their way off the grid because we've heard the klaxon go. But of course, we've got to talk about the front row and our Trofeo Pirelli drivers, which have the red strip across the top of the windscreen. And we go back to, as it was really, with an extraordinary family duo here. Tom Fleming, grab a quick word with driver coach to Gilbert Yates. Your man delivered in quali once again.
He does what he does best. What can I say? He did a monster job both on the old tyre and the new tyre. So hopefully he can transform it once again in the race.
Well, he is something of a machine, Tom, and I know that's a lot down to you. Alongside him is his son, Bradley Yates. Federico Pastorelli from Ferrari North Europe makes his way off the grid. We've got to do the same as well. Stand by, 30 minutes plus 1 lap of racing to come from the Ferrari Challenge UK, and the commentating voice for the entire race will be Jack Werrell.
Thank you very much, Dave. Great to hear from a number of our drivers and driver coaches and whoever else down there on the grid. There was a real buzz. You could see that we had, whilst we were on the lunch break, we had customers of Ferrari owners clubs, etc., etc. Even some of the drivers that drove here today in some of their fabulous pieces of Ferrari machinery, they had the opportunity to take them on a full lap of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, which really added to that atmosphere and gave the venue that is the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit a real buzz. Race 2 very shortly getting underway. So the 6th race of the season in the Ferrari Challenge UK brings us here to Silverstone. Of course, we saw race 5 yesterday, and that meant that the championship lead in Trofeo Pirelli got closer than ever. The championship lead in Copa started to shuffle around as well, as Sean Rand took to the top step of the podium. Yesterday's Copa race winner. Can he follow up today with another podium? He will be lining up 6th in Copa, so a bit of work to do. But Andrea Samanara with a maiden podium. Let's see what he can, with a maiden pole position, pardon me. Let's see what he can do from pole position in Copa. It's an all Yates affair on the front row, so Charles Hurst will be looking to continue their good run of form, leading the Copa dealer aspect of the championship. Let's have a look at the way in which they will line up. Gilbert Yates lines up on pole position with a 2-minute .711 the pole time. Bradley Yates, his son, will be lining up alongside. Heading on to row 2, Joseph Dean will be looking to take to the podium once again this season, with Manu Gosner lining up alongside on row number 2. Row 3 is made up of Mike Dewhurst, of course the 2025 Copa champion. He will be lining up alongside our Copa pole sitter, Andrea Samanara, who was very happy with qualifying this morning. Chris Baton, Copa championship leader, lining up in 7th place. He will have Ian Morris alongside. As we look to row 5 of the grid, William Bolster, he will be lining up in what is 9th place. He's got Hussein Sert alongside, who had a unique outlook on qualifying yesterday and tried something slightly different today. Sean Rand, yesterday's Copa race winner, will be lining up in 11th place. He's got Darren Howell alongside. We heard from Darren down there on the grid. As we look to the 7th and final row of the grid, Tony Dean will be lining up in 13th place, ahead of John Turner, lining up in 14th. Cars out there on their green flag warming up lap, and what is effectively their rolling lap round to the grid. They'll be trying to get as much temperature into the tyres and into the brakes as possible. The Pirelli P0s will be enjoying this hot weather, providing maximum grip possible. Car's fueled up with Shell V-Power, ready to complete the 30-minute plus 1 lap race that awaits. Who's going to have the best run into turn 1? We saw Gilbert Yates yesterday get off to a brilliant start and just start to extend that lead more and more by sort of 5 tenths per lap, and that gave him quite a healthy margin come the end of the race. Quick starter yesterday, Mike Dewhurst, again lining up in 5th place, but yesterday, before we even got to the loop and into Village, Mike Dewhurst, he was all the way up into 3rd place. Can he do the same in race number 2 of the weekend? Teams watching on closely as the field forms a nice 2x2 order. And in towards club. Drivers doing final preparations, ensuring everything is as it should be to go racing in what are favourable conditions if you're a spectator in the car. You can imagine that all the temperature playing effect, all will be revealed. Gilbert Yates controlling the pace, son Bradley alongside. Which one of the Yates will be leading in towards turn 1? You'd have thought it would be Gilbert, given he's on the inside, but if Bradley can hold it out around the outside, he may even get one over on his father. Through the final corner at club for the 2nd time this weekend in the Ferrari Challenge UK 2026 season here at Silverstone. The red lights are on, and as the red lights go out, we go racing once again. It's a good start from Gilbert Yates, a good start from Bradley Yates, but Gilbert might just have the edges. We arrive in towards turn 1. Yes, he does. The field fan out into almost 4 wide as we head towards Abbey. Everybody works their way through, but Gilbert Yates leads the way from then Bradley Yates. Brilliant start from Manuela Gostner. That could almost put her up into 2nd place as she looked to the inside of Bradley Yates. Manuela already working her way through and past Joseph Dean. And into the lead of Copa Shell is Chris Baton. Great start. He managed to work his way through and past that of Andrea Seminara, who seems to have dropped a place or 2. Tony Dean watching on intently. He did say his plan is more just to sit and learn and watch and then start to pick up the places. But Chris Baton up into the lead of Copa Shell, looking to extend that lead margin in the championship. Joseph Dean immediately trying to fight back, looking to the outside on the run through Luffield, trying to work his way through and past Manuela Gostner, who got the better of the 2 starts. Mike Dewhurst watching on with intent. Chris Baton leads the way in Copa Shell. Sean Rand with a fabulous start. He's right the way up into 2nd place in class, up into 7th overall. He started in something like 10th place. So fabulous work from yesterday's Copa Shell race winner. Joseph Dean using all of the circuit available to him and that little bit more in any sort of effort to close down that gap to Manuela Gostner. But Gilbert Yates leads from son Bradley Yates. It's then Manuela Gostner who's just ahead of Joseph Dean. Let's see what Joe can do over the next couple of laps as the car really starts to work its way into that optimal performance window. Mike Dewhurst sat there in 5th place. Chris Baton is already starting to pull a bit of a gap over Sean Rann. Andrea Seminara found himself down in 8th place overall, 3rd in class, 3 positions lost on the opening lap of the race. Ian Morris finds himself in 4th place. Will Bolster 5th. Darren Howell in 6th place has picked up a place through and past Hussein Sert. Tony Dean has just managed to work his way through and back past that of John Turner as well. There's a brilliant battle for the final step on the Trofeo Pirelli podium. We saw exactly the same yesterday. Manuela Gostner defending as hard as she dare to try and keep Joseph Dean behind. Yesterday, Joseph Dean and Bradley Yates were effectively in the opposite positions. It was Joe Dean chasing down Gilbert and Bradley Yates fighting away with Manuela Gostner. Bradley isn't exactly being dropped by Gilbert Yates in the lead of the race. And slightly quicker through Sector 3, slightly slower through Sector 2, slightly slower through Sector 1 for Bradley, but he will continue to apply that pressure in any attempt to defend his championship lead in Trofeo Pirelli. But as it stands, this may just about be enough for Gilbert Yates to take the lead in the Trofeo Pirelli Championship. Qualifying lap he set this morning, the 2-minute .771 was the lap record here at Silverstone for Ferrari Challenge UK. Joe Dean really pushing on, nibbled at the curb, that just put him slightly deep on the brakes. May just allow Manuela Gostner to again extend that margin by a couple of car lengths or so. But Joseph Dean will get the aerodynamic assistance as they run across the national pitch straight and then in towards Copse Corner, a very quick section of circuit, which seemed to catch a couple of drivers out in terms of track limits this morning. Mike Dewhurst has doing what he can to keep tabs with those cars up the road. Let's have another look back at how the race started. Mike Dewhurst immediately trying to come over and cover that gap as the lights went out. What exactly happened to Andrea Seminara? Because he was on the extreme outside, albeit on pole position as he pitched the car into turn one. He was still just about in the lead, but that was enough for Chris Baton to squeeze his way up the inside, and Sean Rann went through the same gap. Brilliant move by Sean Rann to climb his way right the way up through the order, and that was enough for him to work his way up into second place from 10th on the grid. Fabulous work from Sean Rann. Gilbert Yates now starting to extend that lead margin over Bradley Yates. Overall fastest sector one. Slightly slower through sector two, so Bradley Yates isn't exactly losing much time, but the 1.2 second buffer in which Gilbert Yates has got, that's just what he needs. Slightly dusty through the final corner, as you can see. Drivers negotiating that professionally. Manuel Agostner remains in third place from Joseph Dean, and then Mike Dewhurst in fifth place, but Chris Baton in the lead of Copichel has started to pull yet more of a margin over Sean Rann. Sean Rann just appearing into shot as we cut away to look at our race leader, Gilbert Yates, absolutely flying. Fastest lap of the race last time through, a 2-minute 2.830. His son Bradley, a 2-minute 2.865. So very little time lost indeed by Bradley Yates on that previous lap. He's really trying to apply that pressure to his father and prove that he's not just going to let him run away with the championship lead. Of course, Gilbert Yates, plenty of experience in Ferrari Challenge UK. Spent 2 seasons in the Ferrari Challenge 488 Evo, picking up the championships on both occasions in 2024 and 2025. He's looking to make it 3 from 3 and become one of, if not the most successful Ferrari Challenge driver that has ever graced the paddock, and is doing so rather convincingly at the moment. Manuel Agostner still hasn't been able to shake off the attentions of Joseph Dean in third and fourth, respectively. Chris Baton is in danger of falling back into the clutches of Sean Rann, who really isn't that far away. There is Chris Baton, your Copichel Championship leader. He arrived firmly leading the championship with that commanding lead after 2 victories at Snetterton. Andrea Seminara is trying to apply the pressure, and Sean Rann really starting to turn up the wick here and scoring some big points already this weekend, and is looking to follow up with another good points haul and hopefully close down that championship lead that Chris Baton has started to accumulate. Brilliant battle here for the final step, not only on the Trofeo Pirelli podium, but the overall podium. Manuel Agostner under big pressure from Joseph Dean, who's just been biding his time, but working his way ever closer over the previous couple of laps. On the run in towards Abbey once again. Tricky corner to get right, dab of the brakes, down a gear even. And then it's flicked right before you load up the right-hand side of the car. The Pirelli P0's really working. Big lunge up the inside from Joseph Dean, gets the car slowed down. Couldn't quite find the key to the door. So Manuel Agostner remains in third place, but Joseph Dean, he's made his intentions known now. 76 thousandths quicker on that previous lap, and he's slowly starting to close that gap to the Italian in third place. On the brakes and towards Brooklands. Slightly tighter line from Joseph Dean. Keeps the car tucked in towards the apex. Manuel Agostner taking a slightly wider line to then carry that momentum in towards the double apex right-hander at Luffield before it's the short run towards Woodcote and the National Pitch Straight. But for Joseph Dean, what can he do here? He's going to have to start to get quite creative in terms of where exactly he starts to look to make the overtaking towards Maggots and Beckett. It surely isn't the overtaking opportunity in which he's looking for. Maybe on the brakes in towards Stowe, or in the straight line along the Hanger Straight. Through Maggots and Beckett's they go. You can see just how close Joseph Dean gets. As soon as he dabs the brake, he really starts to close down that gap. 42 thousandths lost on this lap. So just losing a little bit of time. But now we'll pick up the aerodynamic assistance as they fly along the Hanger Straight, underneath the vehicle bridge, and then they're in no time at all already thinking about jumping on the brakes to get the car turned into Stowe. By the sounds of it, another driver pushing their limits on the run through Maggots and Beckett. You could hear the Pirelli P0 squeal in the background. But Manuel Agostner doing a fabulous job of defending third place on the road. Gilbert Yates on the previous lap continuing to pull away, and there is the reason for the squealing Pirellis. John Turner rotating the car through 90 degrees. We'll get that car back up to speed though, nice and early, grabs reverse gear, nice and easy. And the 296 Challenge car responds, as you'd expect, straight back up to racing pace. For Joseph Dean, maybe just not quite as quick through sector 2 on that occasion, it would seem, as he's really started to lose time to Manuel Agostinho. They were absolutely nose to tail last time we saw them, but in the space of a sector, Joseph Dean has just lost that little bit of time. So Joe's got all that work to do again as Manuel Agostinho remains in third place. Mike Dewhurst watching on, maybe biding his time as well. The Pirelli P0s will be more than happy to last the 30 minutes plus 1 lap. But for Mike, it's a case of, does he just want to manage that over the next, 21 minutes and then the extra lap on top? Especially in what will be rising track temperatures. Not only has the sun been beating down on the Silverstone circuit all day, now that cars are out there and circulating and putting that energy from the tyre into the racing surface, means that that track temperature will slowly start to rise over the coming laps. Sean Rann up 4 places. Fabulous start for Sean Rann. And he's starting to fall into the clutches, I would say, of Andrea Seminara, who's trying to make up for what was his poor start. Darren Howell at 1 place, looking to make it a further one, as William Bolster isn't that far up the road. Hussein Sert will be trying to work his way back into the top 10 over the next 20 or so minutes. Gilbert Yates still out in front and leading the way. Manuel Agostinho, now she's not got Joseph Dean hounding her and filling a rear view mirror. It means that she can now really focus on out of the windscreen. And the evidence of that is personal best sector 1, personal best sector 2, and he's on for a personal best lap, and maybe even starting to close that gap up to Bradley Yates in second place. Over the start-finish line, we've seen our 2 Charles Hurst-backed Gilbert and Bradley Yates, our top 2. Manuel Agostinho does indeed go through and set her personal fastest lap of the race, 2 minutes 3.728. Darren Howell still applying that pressure onto William Bolster. Through the final corner they go, on towards the Hamilton straight. Last time through, Darren Howell picked up that extra bit of time in comparison to Will Bolster. This time through, time posted by Darren yet to be confirmed. So for Darren Howell posting a personal fastest lap of the race, a 2 minutes 6.7, but William Bolster in response posted a 2 minutes 6.3. So starting to respond now is Will, and trying to run away from Darren Howell. Darren will sense that and maybe push that little bit harder once again to, again, reclose that gap to his Copa-Shell rival. Bradley Yates just attracting the attention of the racing officials in terms of the amount of circuit that he is using and the amount that should be available to him. Gilbert Yates, his lead gap now back up to 3.6 seconds over his son Bradley. But this battle, Copa-Shell, it's going to rage on, isn't it? We mentioned it yesterday, we'll mention it again today. Copa-Shell is really where these battles start to ignite. Ian Morris isn't that far up the road either, so if William Bolster continues lapping at which the rate he currently is, and Darren Howell continues to chase that, this is when we start to see Ian Morris get brought into the mix. The team's working hard to provide the driver with all the information that they need to piece together what will be a fabulous second race of the weekend. There is Bradley Yates on the brakes and towards Club. Gilbert Yates goes through and past my commentary box window to tick another lap in the book and go on to lap number 7 of the race. Bradley Yates does the same. Manuel Agostinho has now pulled that margin down to 1.5 seconds between himself and Joseph Dean. Joe, with a small mistake, I think a couple of laps ago, has put him on the back foot, but he's starting to close in once again, lapping quicker that time as Joseph Dean. 1.4 seconds turns into 1.3. All of a sudden in the background, in Copa-Shell, Sean Rann coming under pressure from Andrea Seminara. That's the number 85, predominantly black and red machine of Sean Rann. And then the number 6, that's the predominantly blue 296 Challenge car of Andrea Seminara. Chris Baton leads the Copa-Shell class as he jumps on the brakes in towards the loop. But then it's the battle behind that we really need to keep an eye on, because Sean Rann goes through, and there is Andrea Seminara all over his tail, and will continue to close in over the next couple of laps. Mike Dewhurst in 5th place, jumps on the brakes, rotates the car in towards Luffield. You can see trail braking just to keep the car balanced. Him and Ed Bridle working ever closer, just to extract the time not only out of the car, but also out of Mike as well, because he has said it has quite literally been a challenge to take the step up to Trofeo Pirelli, but he's taking it in his stride. Chris Baton undoubtedly will have that same step to take come the end of this season, because he's really starting to pick up the pace, and he's only getting quicker. But there is Sean Rann and Andrea Seminara absolutely nose to tail. In the background you can see that of Ian Morris giving chase, and William Bolster and Darren Howell still not that far apart. This could be a battle that comes back together again in around about 10 minutes time, and we'll see 3 or 4 laps of some brilliant racing in Coperchel, much like we saw yesterday. For yesterday, that was a full half an hour of absolute nose-to-tail, side-to-side battling here at Silverstone. Gilbert Yates lead for the best part of 5 seconds now. Sean Rann continuing to soak up the pressure from Andrea Seminara as they head in towards Stowe. They appear into shot now, down the Vale and in towards Club. What can Andrea do? Of course, pole sitter in Coperchel was happy with the lap, thought there was a bit more time out there, filling the mirrors, a big look to the inside in any attempt just to take Sean Rann's attention away from the road that will be very quickly arriving in these 296 Challenge cars. Incredibly quick, and plenty of power produced from the twin turbocharged V6. Make a good sound as well, do the 296 Challenge cars. Through Farm Curve, on the brakes in towards Village, and you can see Andrea Seminara is absolutely there with him, doing what he can just to unsettle out of Sean Rann. But Sean's got a busy racing calendar this year, and he's doing a lot of work with Ferrari Challenge UK, and would be a name that we'd love to see around, simply because he produces battles like this. We saw a brilliant battle between himself and Chris Baton yesterday. We're now seeing a brilliant battle between himself and Andrea Seminara today. On the brakes in towards Luffield, you can hear the tyres chirping away as they make as much grip as required for the drivers that are out there. Pirelli here working hard to produce as many P0 slick tyres as possible. Along the national pitch straight, on the brakes in towards Copse Corner. Are we going to see a change over the next couple of laps? Are we going to see Andrea Seminara just start to unlock that door and get that little bit closer as they run up the hill towards the infamous Baggots, Beckett's and Chapel section, using as much of the curve as they can? Seems like Andrea Seminara through sector 1 and 3 really has that edge, but Sean Rann through sector 2 was just enough to control that gap between himself and the car behind. Last time through, Gilbert Yates lost that little bit of time to Bradley Yates. The lead margin, we said it was the best part of 5 seconds. It's now the best part of 4 seconds. 3.848 is the gap between Gilbert Yates and Bradley Yates. As for Chris Baton, he's just focusing forward now, maybe even focusing on Mike Dewhurst to see if he can work his way into the top 5 overall, whilst continuing to lead the Coperchel category. On the run-through Club corner, Sean Rann, as we say, acting like a sponge here and soaking up that pressure that is being applied by Andrea Seminara. A quick look down into the garages. You can see teams watching on intensely to ensure that anything that goes on, they can pass that information out to their driver and really build a very quick race car. But a mistake from Andrea Seminara washes him wide on the exit of Village, and unfortunately all of that hard work that he put in on that previous lap to gain him a 1/10 of a second has come undone sort of tenfold now, and will start to fall away from Sean Rann as they are flat out down the Wellington straight, on the brakes in towards Brooklands, looking for that later apex. Place the car in the middle of the road before you then really start to rotate the car, use the curb, and then drive the car straight in towards Luffield, effectively apex early, and then look for a much later apex to fire your way onto the national pitch straight on the run towards Woodcote. Andrea Seminara got away lucky there, because if Ian Morris was any closer, he'd have to turn the attack in which he was applying to Sean Rann into the fence towards Ian Morris. A flash of the lights for Andrea just to again unsettle the nerves of Sean Rann. William Bolster and Darren Howell getting ever closer. Last time through, the gap between the pair of them was only, what, half a second. that may continue to get closer over the next couple of laps. Here is Darren Howell using all of the curb, bouncing over the curb, kicking up the dust on the run through Maggots. In towards Beckett's they go. Darren, again, using all of the curb that he can just to help in the rotation of the car to keep that minimum speed as high as possible as they head on towards the Hangar Straight. Fastest laps of the race go to our Trofeo Pirelli and Copper Shoal class leaders. Gilbert Yates with a 2-minute 2.230. We said he'd be in the 2-minute 2s, maybe even the 2-minute 1s. Chris Baton with a 2-minute 4.202. He's actually set a faster lap of the race in comparison to Mike Dewhurst, but Mike has been far more consistent in that regard. The gap between Joe Dean and Manuel Agostner is coming down, albeit marginally. He is 1.4 seconds away, but still with the best part of 11 minutes, plus that all-important extra lap. We could see the battle for the final step on the Trofeo Pirelli podium really start to take shape. I know it only seems like one extra lap, so it's not going to make much of a difference, but we have seen numerous races be decided on that extra lap over seasons gone by. It seemed like there Ian Morris, just in eagerness to get on the power, slightly unsettled the car. Sorry, William Bolster in eagerness to get on the power, slightly unsettled the car. A big look to the inside for Darren Howell. Can't quite find the key. Yes, he can. Now they're side by side. A dab of the brakes by the both of them to ensure that racing room is given. Is Darren Howell going to go wide and then look for the cutback? Yes, he is. Much wider. Looks for a later apex. Can pick up the throttle that slight bit earlier. But for now, William Bolster will hold on to what is 10th place. But Darren Howell might have a higher maximum speed by the time they arrive at Copse Corner. See the brake lights flash on, down a gear, chuck the car in. As you nibble at the curb, that will just help rotate the car and help it skip over the racing surface. But William Bolster got away lucky there because Darren Howell was close enough to get side by side. If he was another 10th closer, that could have been him through and past and up into the top 10 and up into the top 5 in terms of the Copper Shell class in and of itself. But now he's much closer. He can pick up a bit more aerodynamic assistance, a bit more draft to maximise that top speed. Last time through the gap between Joseph Dean and Manuel Agostner within a second now. So they are starting to get closer. And Manuel Agostner is not safe at all as of yet because Joe Dean is being a consistent podium attendee this season and will be looking to continue that trend here at Silverstone with a second place yesterday in yet more valuable points for which he will be looking forward to adding to that tally. If he can get onto the podium, it's another piece of silverware as well. William Bolster still just keeping tabs with Darren Howell, keeping an eye on exactly where he is behind him. Is the gap extending or decreasing? Is Darren Howell doing something maybe slightly different, which is allowing him to chip away at that time? Sean Rand still under that little bit of pressure from Andrea Seminara. We saw that gap start to open up slightly over the previous laps, but it's now around about a second between Andrea and Sean Rand. That is the battle for what is second and third place, but Andrea Seminara has lost yet more time, it would seem. It flashes up as he goes through sector 1, but he's lost out to Ian Morris. That may just be the transponder, or is that Andrea Seminara unfortunately dropping himself away? No, it is Andrea Seminara dropping himself away. Ian Morris has got through. You could see him just out of shot there. So Andrea's gone from battling for second place down into fourth. William Bolster ran slightly wide on the exit of Luffield, meaning that Darren Howell could get that little bit closer. And we could see a 3-horse race here. Andrea, pole position, hasn't been very kind to him at all so far in race number 2 of the weekend. Sean Rand still up those 4 places, but has spent a bit of time fighting with Andrea, meaning that he's fallen away from Chris Baton. Gilbert Yates goes through and continues to lose time, I would say, to Bradley Yates. The lead gap now down to 3 seconds, so Gilbert isn't being afforded too much time to his son Bradley. Manuel Agostner goes through, and does she reopen the gap? Yes, she does. Joseph Dean now back outside of a second away. So good response there from Manu to yet further cement her position in third place. Chris Baton goes through, leading the way in Copa Shell by quite a convincing margin. Sean Rand doesn't have too much pressure to worry about now. Ian Morris will be doing what he can to hold on to what is third place. Andrea Seminara will be trying to make amends and then close back up onto the coattails of Ian Morris, but with 6.5 minutes plus that extra lap remaining, that clock is only going to tick down. William Bolster and Darren Howell have still got to decide exactly who wants to finish in the top 5 in class, who wants to finish in the top 5 overall, as those two will be sparring away over the next 6 or so minutes. But as the temperature becomes more and more apparent, as we peer through the heat haze along the Wellington Straight, the Pirellis will be working hard, but are more than capable of holding on for the race distance. Here is Darren Howell, really close to Ian Morris, or William Bolster, pardon me, all over the tail end of William Bolster's 296 Challenge car. Charles Hurst will be watching on intently. Not only do they represent Bradley and Gilbert Yates that are leading the way, they do represent William Bolster. We'll be wanting him to pick up yet more points in the championship. Darren Howell still not that far away. He's just going to try and fill the mirrors of William Bolster, try and unsettle him somewhat and see what he can do about working his way through and by. Over the start-finish line, we've seen already Gilbert Yates and Bradley Yates to go on to what is their 13th lap of the race. Bradley Yates gets closer still. You can see Bradley Yates within striking distance of Gilbert Yates over the next couple of laps. Manuela Gosner goes through and has again extended the gap between herself and Joseph Dean. The gap's the best part of 2 seconds now. Mike Dewhurst still 5th in class, 5th overall. Chris Baton continues to lead the way in Copa Shell. But it's all eyes William Bolster and Darren Howell. They still remain 10th and 11th overall, 5th and 6th in Copa Shell. Darren Howell's getting closer. Out of the final corner they go, on towards the Hamilton Straight. And then it's in towards Abbey. Darren Howell much closer on that occasion. Last time through, that gap came down to only a quarter of a second. Half a second quicker on the previous lap was Darren Howell. So we've got this brilliant battle forming right in front of us. But with 4 minutes plus 1 lap to go, Darren Howell is running out of opportunity here to work his way through and past the Irishman. Gilbert Yates out in front, continuing to lead the way. That time through extended the lead margin, 3.6 seconds now. So as he goes through and breaks the beam on the end of sector 1, I think that was a response from Gilbert. Lull Bradley into a false sense of security. I didn't think he's catching, and then again reapply himself and pull away. Yeah, it's now up to 4 seconds, Gilbert Yates, so responding well to the pressure that was slowly starting to be applied by Bradley Yates. Manuela Gosner in 3rd place, as we say, just controlling that pace now, holding the gap at around about 2 seconds between herself and Joseph Dean. Chris Baton continues to lead the way in Copa Shell. Sean Rann in 2nd place, isn't quite close enough to mount a challenge as of yet, but he has slowly been reeling in the Great Paul Nottingham-backed Copa Shell leader. Ian Morris in a rather lonely 3rd place, it would seem, since Andrea Seminara just started to fall away. As they head along the Hanger Straight once again, are we going to see Darren Howell get closer and closer and closer? Is William Bolster now going to have to think about defending that little bit more? Mike Dewhurst over the start-finish line once again. In the background, Chris Baton giving chase. Then it is Sean Rann who, does he get closer on that occasion? Yes, he does. He gets that little bit closer once again. But I just think time is going to run out for Sean Rann, an opportunity to make it 2 from 2 in Copa Shell. Out of the final corner comes William Bolster and Darren Howell. Darren not quite as close as we've seen him in comparison to laps gone by. Past the wing, the quick flick right at Abbey before the incredibly high-speed, long left-hander at Farm Curve. Darren Howell just starting to wash wide of the apex on that occasion. But Andrea Seminara, oh, what could have been for him. Not only was it a good lap in qualifying that put him on pole position, he's got more than enough race pace to be up there and leading the class. As soon as Sean Rann arrived, it seemed Andrea Seminara was unsettled. Ian Morris capitalised on that, worked his way through and past, and up into 3rd place in Coperchel. The lead gap continues to fluctuate. 3.1 seconds now, the margin between Gilbert Yates and Bradley Yates. 2.5 as they break the beam on the end of sector 2. So really starting to ebb and flow is that battle. Gilbert Yates will have Bradley Yates more than visible in the wing mirrors. Bradley Yates will be able to see his father's car up the road and will be making any inroad that presents itself to try and close down that lead margin. Out of the final corner now comes Gilbert Yates. Does Bradley Yates get closer? 2.5 turns into 2.3. So a further 0.2 of a second gained by Bradley Yates on that occasion. They go on to their penultimate lap of the race. There is Manuela Gosner. Manu works her way in towards turn 1. Doesn't have to focus too intently on that rearview mirror as Joe Dean just starts to trickle away from the pace being set by those up the road. We then get John Turner working his way through turn 1, separating Joe Dean from Mike Dewhurst. There is the number 78 machine of Mike. As we say, the 2025 Coperchel champion. Chris Bayton continues to lead the way and has around about a 2-second lead over Sean Rann. So he can manage that over the next couple of laps, give up some time here and there should he need to, just to ensure that he sees that checkered flag first and picks up yet another win in Coperchel. He had a roller coaster of a day yesterday, and today he'll be looking to pick up another huge haul of points and again extend that lead margin in the championship for which he did yesterday. William Bolster is doing enough at the moment just to keep Darren Howell at bay. Hussein Sert in 12th place. Tony Dean in 13th place. Chatting to him at lunch break, he was confident, and the feedback he was receiving not only from others but his driver coach as well, getting quicker and quicker and quicker as the season wears on, or as the weekend wears on, pardon me. It would be great to see Tony Dean back out and in a 296 challenge car next time out at Alton Park. Gilbert Yates just managing the gap to Son Bradley at around about 2.5 seconds. There is the rather fetching livery on John Turner's car. You can't miss it. The prominently green with white liveried Wolf 296 challenge car. There is Tony Dean, the number 27 car, working his way through Luffield. It'd be great to see, as we say, Tony out at Alton Park. On to the final lap of the race goes race leader Gilbert Yates. The lead margin 2.3 seconds. All Gilbert needs to do now is manage that pace all the way to the checkered flag, so he can take a 1-2 in terms of not only Charles Hurst, but a 1-2 for the Yates family. Bradley will want it the other way around. It was a fabulous opening round at Paul Ricard for Bradley Yates. That really set the tone for the good points hauls that he would receive at the following rounds at Snetterton and here at Silverstone. On the brakes in towards Luffield goes Gilbert Yates. 1.4 seconds now the gap between himself and Bradley Yates. He's drawing him in closer, but that may just be a bit of a playful thing for Gilbert Yates. Is he going to see how close he can get Bradley Yates without superseding a position here? Manuela Gosner has done a brilliant job throughout this race just to control that gap to Joseph Dean and keep the pace in which she's setting as consistent as possible. Down the national pit straight for the final time at racing speed, in towards Copse, down a gear, the quick right-hander, and then it's as early as you dare pick up the throttle to fire the car up the slight incline towards Maggots and Beckett's. As the sun continues to shine down on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit for the final time this weekend, Gilbert Yates will lead the field through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel on towards the Hanger Straight. And Gilbert Yates, this puts him in a prime position to take over the lead of the championship in the Ferrari Challenge UK. Bleeds off to the right-hand side, on the brakes, down through the gearbox, through Stowe Corner, then it's down the Vale, and the checkered flag will be waiting for Gilbert Yates once again here at Silverstone. On the brakes for the final heavy braking zone as we head in towards Club. Bradley Yates is close, but simply not close enough. Gilbert Yates through the final corner now, up through the gearbox. And for the second time this weekend, Gilbert Yates wins here at Silverstone, wins overall, wins in Trofeo Pirelli. Bradley Yates will join his father on the podium, finishing in second place. Manuela Gosner just working her way through the final corner now. We'll see the checkered flag and round out your Trofeo Pirelli podium. There is number 12 car of Joseph Dean. He will finish in 4th place with another good haul of points. The next car to arrive will be Mike Dewhurst. He will round out your Trofeo Pirelli finishers. Before we then see Chris Bayton come through to take the win in Copa-Shell. Chris Bayton working his way through the final corner now. The all-orange 296 Challenge car comes through the final corner. There is Chris Bayton. He takes the win in Copa-Shell once again, further extends his vice grip on the Copa-Shell Championship. Sean Rann will take to the podium once again. This time it's the second step of the podium. Another good haul of points for him to finish in 2nd place. Ian Morris will round out your Copa-Shell podium. Andrea Seminara, oh what could have been. He will finish in 4th place, shortly followed, incredibly shortly followed, by William Bolster and Darren Howell, who were locked in a race-long battle here at Silverstone in race number 2. They finished 9th, 10th and 11th respectively. Hussein Sirk comes through to see the checker flag in 12th place. Tony Dean will cross the line to finish in 13th, and we've already seen John Turner come through and cross the line to finish in 14th place. But Gilbert Yates, it's another back-to-back race win of the weekend for Gilbert. And as we say, that's prime position now to take the lead of the championship away from Bradley Yates. However, Charles Hurst will be happy as the Copa dealer scores max points possible in Trofeo Pirelli, and William Bolster will finish in 5th place, also represented by Charles Hurst in Copa-Shell. But Chris Bayton, what is it going to take to stop Chris Bayton in the chase for the championship in Copa-Shell? He arrived already with a commanding lead and is already starting to extend that the further we get into the 2026 Ferrari Challenge UK season. Now's the time for the drivers to open the windows, get some fresh air into that car, help cool down the Pirelli P0s. And as the field work their way back to the pit lane, drivers will effectively be celebrating what were good battles. You'll see William Bolster and Darren Howell go over and have a good debrief after that race, because that was an incredibly close race between the pair of them for 5th and 6th in Copa-Shell. Gilbert Yates working his way into the pit lane. No doubt we will be able to hear from Gilbert by the incredibly efficient Dave Richardson down there. Gilbert barely will bring the car to a stop, and immediately Dave Richardson will be there to grab a word with him. I fear the same fate will apply to Chris Bayton as well. So Gilbert Yates brings the car to a stop. Bradley Yates, his son, does exactly the same alongside. We will then await the arrival for Manuela Gostner. It'd be good to hear from Manu if we possibly could as well, but I understand we are on something of time scales. And for Joe Dean, after becoming a rather regular face on the Trofeo Pirelli podium, it'll feel somewhat weird heading straight back to the garage. Gilbert Yates looks rather hot under the collar. But there is your Copa-Shell leader working his way into the pit lane, or your Copa-Shell winner working his way into the pit lane of Chris Bayton. Great Paul Nottingham will be happy, picking up yet another Copa-Shell win. And yet more silverware to take back to the dealership and put in pride of place in the Great Paul Nottingham Ferrari dealership. What a fabulous race that was. Race 2 of the weekend completed here at Silverstone in the Ferrari Challenge UK. Drivers can enjoy this, enjoy the break. They've got a bit of time before they need to really set their sights on Alton Park, but the work will effectively start for that now. But before then, let's go down to the pit lane and down to Dave.
Thank you so much. I'm going to try and muscle in the scrum here, as you would expect me to. To heck with everyone, I just muscle them out of the way because I'm a heathen, aren't I? To get into this machine that is Gilbert Yates. Come on, we were watching that timing screen, we were watching the film. The gap was seesawing between you and your son. We know how talented he is. Tell us the truth, Gilbert Yates.
So basically, I probably used too much tyre to start the race to get a gap, and then Tom was telling me to manage it because we knew he would be managing his tyres for the end of the race, because that's their trick. But at the end, we had a few slides in the slower corners, so we just had to try and manage that and make sure we had enough grip at the end of the race. So he was closing a bit of the gap. Every time I put pressure on, our left rear overheated, so we had to back off.
Of course, with today's result, that puts you back into P1 in the Drivers' Championship by my reckoning. Okay. So you want to be going for another champion. I mean, you know, you're going to become a record breaker here, are you not, Gilbert Yates?
Hopefully. Let's do 3 in a row, 22 poles.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Well done.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks. Take care.
Right, let's see if we can grab a word with Chris Baton straight away. I can see, I don't even think the crash helmet and hands device is off yet, but nonetheless, we're going to be patient, and Chris Baton, I am sure, will be getting that off very, very quickly, and we'll be able to grab a word with him in just a moment. Great camaraderie from all our Ferrari Challenge drivers, which is always lovely to see and to hear as well. And Chris Baton then just undoing the clamp for his crash helmet. Head and neck support, of course, as well. And then the fireproof balaclava will come off, and we'll grab a word with our Ferrari Challenge Copa Shell winner, who's congratulated by Claudio. Awesome start.
Yeah, I made it for yesterday. Yesterday was pretty awful. It wasn't textbook, was it? But today I was a little bit more focused, set myself up a little bit better, and yeah, got a great start and was thrilled to bits to be in the position on the first lap.
Chris, how difficult was it to manage in what searing temperatures inside that car? I mean, with the greatest of respect, you know, you're a more senior racer, therefore it must come difficult. I mean, you're a fit fella, but...
Now, that's not quite good for a Sunday, is it? Of course it's tough, it's physically tough, but I like a lot of guys, I keep myself fit.
Yeah.
If I didn't keep myself fit, I wouldn't be able to do it. So it's all about having some fitness, and yeah, it's not, you don't notice when you're in the car. You're focused, the adrenaline's pumping, we've got air conditioning, so you've got a cool face. It's only the body temperature when you stop started to rise, so no excuses. It was a great race, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
And you deserved it, well done Chris Baton. So there we have it then from our two race winners. Back to you, Jack Werrell.
Thank you, Dave. Great to hear from our race winners. Let's have a look at how they finished in race number 2 of the weekend here at Silverstone. Gilbert Yates takes yet another win in the Ferrari Challenge UK and takes the championship lead after 16 laps. Only a second clear of his son, Bradley Yates, who will take to the second step of the podium. Manuela Gostner finishes in 3rd place. Joseph Dean in 4th, and Mike Dewhurst rounds out the finishes in Trofeo Pirelli. As we look towards Copa Shell, Chris Baton with yet another win in Copa Shell, and he's really starting to amass an impressive haul of points in the lead of the championship. Sean Rann once again on the podium, he finishes in 2nd place. Ian Morris finishing in 3rd, great to see. Andrea Seminara, again a story of what could have been for him to finish in 4th place. William Bolster holding on to 5th from Darren Howell, who was giving chase all race long. Hussein Sert finishes in 7th place, Tony Dean in 8th place, and it will be John Turner that finished in 9th. John has been getting quicker throughout the season. Let's have a look back at race number 2 from Silverstone. As the race got underway, we're running towards turn 1, closer than ever. The lights went out. Gilbert Yates made the most of his quick reactions and started to run away, to his own admission, maybe pushing slightly hard to build the gap in the early stages of the race, but that's really where we saw Manuela Gostner come into her own, picking up the place through and past Joseph Dean, and then managed to defend that gap over the next couple of laps. Mike Dewhurst looking to make good his escape from the clutches of the Copa Shell class behind, but immediately into the lead of that class was that of Chris Baton. Sean Rann, 4 places gained on the opening lap. We pick up the battle between Manuela Gostner and Joseph Dean, absolutely nose to tail. That's the way it stayed for the majority of the race. The team working hard to try and communicate to the drivers just exactly what is going on out there on circuit and how they can best react to it. But Chris Baton continued to extend that lead margin. Sean Rann came under pressure from Andrea Seminara for quite some time, but somehow managed to hold on to that place. Ian Morris and Darren Howell side by side in towards Luffield, the pair of them giving racing room, but providing us a fabulous spectacle just to see how close you can race these Ferrari 296 Challenge cars. Gilbert Yates continued to pull that lead margin. Then the temperature started to creep in. The Pirelli P0s were working harder than ever. Chris Baton had no such worries to come through and see the checkered flag first. Once again, it was Gilbert Yates taking the win in Trofeo Pirelli, and that was shortly followed by the all-orange machine of Chris Baton, taking yet another win in Copa Shell, further extending his vice grip on the Copa Shell Championship. Grey Paul Nottingham will be over the moon. We heard from Gilbert Yates, your Trofeo Pirelli race winner. We heard from Chris Baton, your Copa Shell race winner. In a few moments' time, we'll see the podium. Dave, down there, and to you.
We're going to try and bring the podium to you straight away, because here we go, Trofeo Pirelli Podium for the second time this weekend, of course, race 2. A different podium today. Please give it up for our P3 driver, Manuel Gosner. Taking P2, here comes Bradley Yates. And P1 is Gilbert Yates. Once again, we invite a representative of our dealer to receive the Copa Dealer Award. That is Charles Hurst. Well done, Charles Hurst. And the trophies are to be presented by our Ferrari factory driver here, James Collado. So making the trophy presentations right now here on our podium. Well done, James. First trophy going to Manu Gosner, P3. Up next, of course, the P2 trophy, which will go the way of Mr. Bradley Yates. And we put a bit of reverb on the voice to big it up for Gilbert Yates. And of course, the Copa Dealer Trophy will be awarded to Charles Hurst. And as if that were not enough, there's more to come. Here comes the Pirelli Trophy to be presented to Gilbert Yates. So double bubble in terms of trophies for Gilbert Yates. So now, listen to Lee, the top photographer here, to tell you exactly how to perform up there on the podium. Bradley, truthfully, you could smile a bit better than you do, friend. Just personal, that's all. That's it, top step of the podium, beam from ear to ear. Hold those trophies with the pride deserved. And then the question to be asked is, who is going to win the champagne race in just a moment? Only when Lee gives me the thumbs up. Who's going to win the champagne race? It's Gilbert's. I have to say, Manuel Gosner with a rear guard action there with that champagne bottle. Wow! Fantastic celebrations on the podium here at Silverstone with the Ferrari Challenge UK. There's a reason we are the best. So our top 3 Pirelli drivers make their way off the podium. That was brilliant with the champagne, Manu. You knew how to do that. Yeah. Oh, well done. Well done. Claudio doing a great job in terms of clearing up. We're already ready to go with our Copa Shell podium. So taking P3 on the Copa Shell podium, here comes Ian Morris. What a weekend this man is having. P2 for Sean Rand. And back on the top step of the podium, here comes Chris Payton. And a warm welcome to Gray Paul Nottingham, who of course will be in receipt of the Copa Dealer Trophy in due course. In the meantime, we elect once again our Ferrari factory driver, James Collado, to make the trophy presentations. First of all, to Ian Morris for P3. Thank you, James. Ian in receipt of his trophy. P2, Sean Rand's going to go home tonight with great fond memories of this weekend. And then on the top step of the podium, taking the Shell race win, Chris Payton. And of course, our Copa Dealer Trophy going to be presented to Gray Paul Nottingham. You can see how the dealer representative really dressed up for today's occasion. Thank you so much. And there we have it. Lee once again is in charge of the photographs here. And once he's happy with the photos, he'll give me the thumbs up. Where do you think you're going, friend? Where do you think you're going? All the drivers on the top step of the podium with big smiles. Okay, so here comes the thumbs up, I think, from Lee. And once he gives me that thumbs up, who's going to win the Copa Shell Champagne race? I think it was Ian Morris, honestly. So celebrations done and dusted. Huge thank you to James Collado, our Ferrari factory driver. Huge thank you, of course, to our drivers for giving us those podiums, and for those that didn't quite make it to the podium today. And back to you, Jack Werrell.
Thank you, Dave. Great to hear from our drivers. Great to see our drivers on their respective steps of the podium, not only in Trofeo Pirelli, but also Copa as well. So another brilliant weekend of racing from the Ferrari Challenge UK as part of their 2026 season. We've still got plenty more to look forward to. At the halfway point now, we've still got Alton Park on the way, we've still got Brands Hatch, and we've still got Donington Park. Plenty of time for the championships to be decided. However, what does the championship look like leaving Silverstone? Well, Gilbert Yates and Bradley Yates tied top on 81 points. Joseph Dean remains in third place on 60 points. However, with Manuela Gostner finishing in third place today, she closes that margin down to only 4 points. Mike Dewhurst remains in fifth on 44 points to his name in the Trofeo Pirelli Championship. Let's have a look at Copa Shell. Christopher Baton again extends his championship lead from 62 to 92 points this weekend. Now 40 points clear of Sean Rann, who's had a brilliant weekend of points scoring. He's up onto 52 points ahead by only 2 points of Andreas Seminara on 50. William Bolster on 46 points in fourth. Darren Howell on 38 in fifth place. Ian Morris with a good race too finishes on 34 points, leaving here on in sixth in the championship. Pete Hunter remains on 22. Steve Dobson remains on 19. Before we then arrive at our 9th and 10th and 11th drivers in the Copa Shell. John Turner on 10 points, Hussein Sert on 9, and Tony Dean picking up a couple of points from his efforts here at Silverstone. What a brilliant weekend of racing it has been here at Silverstone for round number 3 of the championship. But our work here is done. We look towards Alton Park. If you have joined us here at the circuit, we wish you a very safe journey home. If you have joined us on the live stream, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in around about a month's time before we head to Alton Park.